Right. How did you end up?
I wish there was something I could do out of my talking about it that would be of value. And of course, the first thing that I think of is just how many peace activists there are, how many clinicians are coming forward, how many community workers from whatever background they come from that really are reaching out to help in the face of the hardship and severe trauma that there is. It was a real question about how to enter because I was coming from Israel and I'm a Jew. And you know, it was an interesting day deciding when we figured out they couldn't cross into Jerusalem, and it meant meeting up at the U.S. Embassy, and I decided to tell the embassy that I was going across the border, and found a beautiful part of Ramallah that was similar to Jerusalem, and that beautiful golden stone that's there. And the counseling center is a lovely place, and I was greeted by the team there who see all sorts of, you know, every age range. And but first, the community is so different. Somebody who works like the front office also comes around with beautiful bits of coffee and creating a warm, very different model, right? We would have somebody sitting at a desk and, you know, barely engaging with the clinicians walking around, but the movement really was a theme for me as I look back at it now. And the gift of, you know, everybody starting their day with a little bit of coffee, and then midday she'd come around and, you know, everybody would just move around and talk. But there is no doubt that the arts, the unlisted languages, the materials that people were able to use that day, along with the introduction of Sharevision, you know, was one of these positive explosions. It was amazing. I have a photograph of us halfway through the day where you don't see the lovely person behind the face, the outside factor, but by the end of the day, where people, you know, one woman, I just remember her saying, I have it, she put her hands in ink and paint, and she held them out the window to dry, and she just took her time there until her hands were just, you know, filled with paint that was dried and thick on her hands and started to crackle. And when we got back together, her describing how it's been so long since she's felt anything, and the kind of communal exchange, because of course they didn't have an equity model for clinical consult or talking about themselves, as many clinicians don't do. They talk about the other, the other, the other. And so this was a day focused on them. And Sharevision in this non-hierarchical, so all of the executive director, the psychologist, the Freudian analyst, the folks who didn't have clinical training but had been in the field for many years, and, you know, everybody has been through so much, was able to feel. And people, with this picture I was telling you about, I have a photograph by the end of the day where one man literally got up and danced, and it was so beautiful because we were free together. It really provided an amazing forum for them, and I hope continues to develop these kind of collaborations where it's not really, I mean, I don't want to go somewhere and remain in a position of the person who's looking, that's the way of saying it, organizing all, but really here, this is something that you guys can do. And that's been amazing because it is incredible how fast people get it.
Not my guess is like going, like what I'm hearing, is that the mark was forever with them and with you. I mean, when I hear the man dancing, in other words, in the presence of something that's supposed to be kind of clinical and organizational and institutional, the unlisted languages just emerged, even with the hands out the window, and what that meant, what was connected with that. The unlisted languages just came forth. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and it's nice. They were very generous, and they let me take pictures. They don't have forms for release forms over there, and I've never published them because they don't have the release forms to require us legally for them to do it. But I still feel it's so private and personal what they had to share. But I'm happy that you asked. Thank you. They've sent me home with some of their artwork and their stories, and we have it documented. We have an awful lot documented. It's the busy time in our lives doing so many projects. It would be good to have time to talk with you all and do some more writing.